Mr. Vice President, I want to start with the milestone today of 4,000 dead in Iraq, Americans, and just what effect you think that has on the country. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's obviously brings home, I think, for a lot of people, the cost that's involved in the global war on terror in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Senator from Virginia said in his Democratic response last night,
"The president took us into this war recklessly. We are now, as a nation, held hostage to the predictable and predicted disarray that has followed."
And it's not just Jim Webb. It's some of your good Republican friends in the Senate and in the House are now seriously questioning your credibility because of the blunders, of the failures. Gordon Smith.
Wolf, I simply don't accept the premise of your question.
The number one recipient of contracts was Vice President Cheney's former company, Halliburton, and its subsidiary Kellogg Brown and Root.
KBR. We're the Army's contractor on the battlefield.
We talked to the Vice President this morning in Oman. He would not talk about Barack Obama, but we talked about everything from Iraq to the economy. Alan Greenspan described it this way: the current financial crisis in the U.S. is likely to be judged in retrospect as the most wrenching since the end of the Second World War. Correct?
We're clearly going through a rough patch here. There's no question about it. But we've had, prior to that, 52 months of uninterrupted economic growth. Now, of course, we've got problems in the housing industry, mortgage backed securities, so forth, that have created problems that we're having to.
Congressional critics are questioning whether Dick Cheney helped Halliburton get billions.
The FBI has revealed it is expanding its investigation into how Halliburton Company billed taxpayers for its contract work in Iraq.
And it now appears some of those contracts were awarded with the knowledge and approval of the Vice President's office, which would seem to contradict his previous statements.
As Vice President, I have absolutely no influence of, involvement of, knowledge of, in any way, shape, or form of contracts.
We did a
You have said in the past that it was, quote, pretty well confirmed.
No, I never said that.
Okay.
I never
think
said
that is...
That's absolutely not. What I said was the Czech intelligence service reported after 9/11 that Atta had been in Prague on April 9th of 2001, where he allegedly met with an Iraqi intelligence official. We have never been able to confirm that, nor have we been able to knock it down.
90 seconds to respond.
The senator's got his facts wrong. I have not suggested there's a connection between Iraq and 9/11.
The New York Times, which is not, as you said, is not your favorite clip, reports it was you who dispatched Gonzalez and Andy Card to then Attorney General John Ashcroft's hospital in 2004 to push Ashcroft to certify the president's intelligence gathering program. Was it you?
I don't recall the... first of all, I haven't seen the story. And I don't recall that I gave instructions to that effect.
That would be something you would recall.
I would think so, but certainly I was involved because I was a big advocate of the terrorist surveillance program.
Here's the problem that you have, the administration, credibility in Congress with the American public because of the mistakes, because of the previous statements, the last throes, the comment you made a year and a half ago, the insurgency was in its last throes. How do you build up that credibility? Because so many of these Democrats and a lot of Republicans now are saying they don't believe you anymore.
The bottom line is that we've had enormous successes, and we will continue to have enormous successes. It is hard. It is difficult. It's one of the toughest things any president has to do. It's easy to stick your finger in the air and figure out which way the winds are blowing and then try to get in front of the herd.
We did a report that took 2.5 years, $600,000, 33 people, including 10 investigative reporters on 6 continents, looking at private military companies and outsourcing war all over the world. And we noticed that in 1992, there was a contract of $9 million given out to a company, Kellogg Brown & Root, to study the idea, should the Pentagon start using the private sector to do some of the support type functions like food service, latrine duty, but even maybe some military things as well. And the Secretary of Defense at the time was one Dick Cheney. So Cheney gives the contract out. Kellogg Brown & Root comes back and says, this is a terrific idea. The next 10 years, they get 700 or 800 contracts to do just that.
Well, I ran Halliburton, and I'm proud of it. Halliburton's a quintessential.
This company brought in a Rolodex guy, a former U.S. congressman, defense secretary, chief of staff to a president, to make sure that he could get doors opened not only in Washington but in capitals all over the world. And yes, he becomes personally wealthy from that. No question about it. His net worth went from $1 million or less to $60 or $70 million in the span of 5 years.
Tell me what you said to the Iraqi leadership and how far you're willing to push them.
On the security front, I think there's a general consensus that we've made major progress, that the surge has worked. That's been a major success.
2/3 of Americans say it's not worth fighting.
So